my father's name was Terah, and he worshipped the moon god Nana. And I wondered, there was an image of the moon. And one time a pigeon came in and let it go right over his face. He couldn't even wipe his face off, some god, huh? But I heard this voice, Abraham, I want you to leave your people, leave your country, and go to a land I'll show you. Well, what did he want me to do, wet my finger and see which way the wind's blowing? I mean, if he's a god, tell me where to go. But you see, I had to go thinking, maybe this is the place. Every day I'd stop, wonder if this is the place. Then I'd get up, wonder if this is the place. You see, I lived more expectantly. And finally, I got to Canaan. I had to go into Shechem to get some supplies, and I was walking under the Morah tree. That's the worship tree. They worshipped a tree there. And the Lord said to me, I'm going to give you this land. And I went out and built an altar because this God had told me he would tell me. And I built an altar. But I had to carry on. You see, I had my nephew, Lot, my brother, his father died, and I couldn't have children by Sarah, so our first option was to adopt a relative, and I was going to adopt him. Now, I wasn't a poor wandering Bedouin. I was a wealthy merchant prince. I had 318 well-trained servants and their wives and their husbands. I had hundreds of animals, of sheep and goats and cows. I was a moving city. And so when I built this altar, I thought, I've got to move. I've got so many lambs and goats and cows, and I heard the best place for grass is at Bethel. So we headed southwest, and we arrived at Bethel, and our animals began to munch on the grass, but there wasn't much grass. And well, I thought, I got to build an altar, so I went over and built another altar at Bethel. But the grass wasn't enough, so I had to carry on south. And I finally got to Hebron. And there were hardly any people there. They were in a famine. I said, say, sir, come here. Where's everybody in Myatt? They're gone. Oh, he said, look over there. The Via Maris that goes to Egypt. Everybody's going there because you can get food in Egypt. And so I knew I had to go to Egypt. I had too many people to feed. I was 75. My wife was 65. She was, Sarah, that is. She was walking in front of me at the 6th day when we were about ready to go into Egypt, and I thought, my, what a beautiful woman. You say a beautiful woman at 65? Well, maybe you have different analogy. I mean, she was at 65 a woman of stature. Sarah, come here. Listen, Sarah, we had the same father, but we had different mothers. Now, I'm worried about in Egypt because you see the Pharaoh, he wants every woman he can get in his harem because somebody will say, how rich is he? How big is he? Oh, he has 100 women in his harem. So people wanted harems. I was the first Hebrew. He didn't have a woman that was a Hebrew. And I thought, if he finds out I'm married to Sarah, he'll kill me to get her. Sarah, listen. We had the same father, but we had different mothers. Now, really, you are a half-sister. And so if they ask who you are, you can just, if you're married, you can just say, I'm half-sister. But now, be silent on half. You can say, half-sister. See, I want you to tell the truth. But, and she agreed. Well, I didn't walk near her because I didn't want them to know I was her husband. And so I thought, I've got to save my neck. He'll kill me, and he'll take Sarah into the harem. So I was walking along, and I saw 4 of the men come down. Is that your husband? She said, no. Oh, I didn't tell her to say no. I'm sister. Ah, good, that'll do it. Now I watched them, and they're taking her into the harem because they thought I was her brother. And now I messed up my life good. What'll I do if I go back to the land God promised me? I'll have to leave the woman that's to be my inheritance. And I really made myself a mess. Then Pharaoh found out. He caused a plague to go on the whole harem. And he came out angry and he said, Abraham, why didn't you tell me that was your wife? Don't you know we believe in Ma'at here in Egypt? Ma'at. That's the truth. The whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Here was a pagan Pharaoh more interested in the truth than I was, and I was trying to save my neck by using hers. I went out of Egypt. He got me kicked out, but he was worried about it. He gave me hundreds of more animals, and so we got back to Hebron, and I got my supplies and went on to Bethel. Because you see, when you mess up your life, there's only one place to go. Go to your altar. And so I went there. I want to tell you, folks, that changed me. Because now we went on to Bethel, and now the grass is lush. And now we have so many animals. Lot, my nephew's servants, were elbowing my servants. Get out of here. This is for my animals. Lot, come here. Look what's happening. Look, we're going to have to separate, Lot. Look, if you go to the right, that's the fertile valley area, like the Eden of God. Then I will go, if you go to the left, that's the, but I'll go to the right, that's the craggy mountaintops. But now, Lot, if you go to the right, craggy mountaintops, I'll go to the left like the Eden of God. What do you want to do? He thought for at least 10 seconds and said, Lot, Uncle, I'll take the fertile valley area. Before Egypt, I would have exploded. Young man, don't you know elders are to be appreciated? What's the matter with you? Are you ever going to learn anything? Not after Egypt. I said, okay, Lot, you take the fertile valley area. I'll take the ragged mountaintops. When kings come raiding you in the 14th chapter of Genesis, they don't go to the craggy mountaintops. They come to the fertile valley area. They came, they conquered, and they took all of the people out of Sodom. And one was my nephew. And I was asleep, and a guy came, my afternoon nap, and he said, do you know, Abraham, what's happened? And they told me, Eliezer, get my 318 men. We're going to follow him. And we followed them day and night, about 100 miles. And I caught them sleeping. I divided my group into 3, and we attacked from all sides. And they fled. And I've got to bring all of the booty back and all of the animals and my nephew Lot, whom I thought I will adopt. That was the first option when you couldn't have a son. And I thought that'll be my son. But what happened was my son Lot went back to Sodom. He was out of Sodom, but Sodom wasn't out of him. And there went my hope. And God said, Abraham, you will have a son in your old age. And I'm 86. Hey, God, look, if you're trying to tell a joke, you win. I can't tell a better joke. I can't have a son. Well, before that, what happened was Hagar was given as an Egyptian maid to my wife, Sarah. And Sarah came to me, the 16th chapter, and said, I can't give you a son. Go into my maid Hagar, and you can have a son on my knees. That didn't only mean that they gave birth in a seated position. It meant this child would be mine because I can't have a child. And so, I didn't know it was wrong. I mean, that was our culture. We're supposed to do that. What happened was, she gave birth to Ishmael. I thought, that's my son. But the Lord told me later, no, you're going to have a son by your own lines. That's what made me laugh. He says, now you're going to name this son I give you laughter. Name him Isaac. You say, oh, he's punishing you for laughing? No. He was laughing with me. He says this is going to be a picture prophecy of one I'm going to send that people will say is impossible. God can't have a son. And so I didn't realize, well, I have to tell you, an angel came and informed me. He said, where's Sarah? He was an angel. And he says, where's Sarah? How does she know my wife's name? And he says, a year from now, she's going to have a son. And she laughed. And she was 90. I'm now 99. I don't know about you women, but if you found out you were going to pregnant at 90, I think you'd cry, not laugh. But you see, what happened was, Sarah did become pregnant, and I remember walking in front of the birth tent. Oh, there's my son by Sarah, the one God promised me. And I tell you, I heard the last cry of Sarah in labor and the first cry of Isaac in life. And I thought, now they're going to clean him up and bring him to me. And they did. And the first pre-Egypt thought was, oh, what I did, I pulled it off one more time. No, that was before Egypt. My first thought was, oh God, what you have done. And I looked at Hagar and that 13-year-old Ishmael. Because you see, between the end of chapter 16 and the beginning of 17, I was 86, now I'm 99. 13 years of silence. 13 years of, okay, you're going to stew in your own juice. No, no, no. You don't know God like I do. God was saying, I want you to get impotent, and then I'm going to work. You won't claim it, and it'll be my son. A picture prophecy of my son. So they brought this son out. And my first thought was, I did it. But then I looked at her, that bitterly hostile Hagar, and that 13-year-old son, Akapi, and I said, oh God, there was my way of doing your will, but here is your way of doing your will. Oh God, what you've done. Did I overdraw that? No. 4,000 years we have been suffering for the children of the flesh, Ishmael, fighting the children of the spirit, Isaac. And that war goes on, and it will never end until the end of time. Now you see, chapter 22, God told me, I want you to sacrifice your son. I had believed God through everything. I thought, no, he's given me as a gift. He told me, what would he do? Why would he do this? I don't understand. I thought, and he told me, you got to go to Moriah. Mount Moriah, that was 3 days' journey away. And I've got to walk there. 3 days' journey with my son dead in my mind. Oh, he can't be asking this. He can't be asking this. But he told me to go. It was in the evening, and I was to go in the morning. I cut the wood. I could have waited for 3 days and cut it at Mount Moriah, which was at Jerusalem, where Jerusalem was built, where the temple was going to be built, Mount Moriah. And I thought, I'll wait. Maybe there's a correction. God wouldn't do that. He wouldn't give me a gift and then take it away, would he? I've got to wait. But I got up, and there was no change. And so I loaded the wood on the donkey. I had my servant and Lot and Isaac, my son. We walked as I said, 3 days, night and day, with my son dead in my mind. I didn't realize this is a picture prophecy. My son is going to be born. My son is going to die, and he's going to hang on a cross after 3 days. He will rise again. I didn't know all of that, you see. And so I got there not realizing that I've got to go through with this. And my boy, he was only 13. Well, I know Josephus says he's 22. Josephus wasn't his father. I was. He was 13. And I didn't say anything, and I put the wood on the altar, and he looked at me with eyes as big as silver dollars. And I picked up the rope, and I went over, and I started tying him, and I could read his eyes. Daddy, what are you doing to me? And I had to do it. This God who had given me now somehow wants to take him away. I don't understand this, but I've trusted him so much. And I laid Isaac on the altar. I raised the knife, and suddenly an angel couldn't get down from heaven. Stop! And all of a sudden I realized, and he showed me a ram caught in a thicket, and together we put the ram on the sacrifice. You see, do you love God because of what he's done for you? That's a works-based love. It won't last. Because if it's a person-based love, it won't die. You say, well, he's taken something away. Well, listen, you love him for who he is, not what he can do. You know, and you have to translate that in our life. You have to love a person for who they are, not what they can do to you or for you or with you. You see, it has to be a person-based love, and person-based love never dies. Works-based love does, and it's temporary, and it doesn't last. The only kind of deep love is the kind God had for his son, and we can have that kind of love.